Hey guys, Marmalade here with Marmalade Outdoors. Thanks for joining me for what I guess is part 2 of this gear review. So I've already done an overall kind of first impression video of this tent. I've now got 3 nights in it and I found out a lot of things and what I need to do. If you noticed, I don't know if you watched my videos or watched my most recent one. I did 3 days and 2 nights on the PCT, did about 41.5 miles. And I had 2 nights in it, so we'll start my second and third nights. And I wasn't happy about it, but it turned out to be great. It was exceptionally windy, 40 miles an hour, going up to 50 and 60 miles an hour. My night 2, it rained on me and had the wind. And one of the things that first attracted me about this tent is it only takes 6 stakes. I like less stakes, less weight, less things to deal with. So on this last trip where I had all that wind and rain, I didn't have extra guy out lines or stakes or anything, so I could not guy it out so that I wouldn't have the problem I ended up having, which was the wind on both nights. But on night 2 was when it was wet, it was raining, my tent was soaked, but the walls on the one side where the wind was coming from, because I couldn't pull out the walls, was on top of me, almost closed me in totally, and I was drenched by it was very cold, got in the 30s, raining and super windy, so I don't know what the chill factor was, but I didn't sleep almost the whole night. I was drenched, got up super early and hiked out to my car, but I learned a lot of things, so that's good. So I'm a tall guy. I'm trying to go lighter, more compact. This tent checks off all the marks that I need on a tent. It's just whether I can physically fit in it. When I lay in it, I fit in it. It's just right, but I can't afford the walls to be coming in on me. So the next step was to get some guy lines and try to stake it out and see if that makes a big difference. Now, it is windy right now. It's probably 20, 25 mile an hour winds, not as strong as out there, but it's coming from the side, which is great. So it's helping push in the wall to kind of show you and simulate what it is before I stake this out and pull everything out. So that's what this video is about, is my Durston X-Mid Pro 110 and whether it's going to work for me on the PCT. I've got about another month before I get on trail. I currently have had for about 3 years a Z-Pax triplex tent, but it's a 3-person tent. It is about 25 ounces, which in the world of tents is light, but it's fairly big. This tent in the bag is like about 2/3 of the size, and it's only a pound. So I would save about 9 or 10 ounces, whatever that is. So that's what I'm trying to do, but I'm not bringing it if it doesn't fit. So the point of this is to show you my remedy for this, show you how I'm tying it out to help with storm and wind mode, and then I got to get it on trail for a few more times before I decide which tent to use. So let me put all the guy lines and the tie outs on and show you the difference. All right, so let's do a tour around it really quickly. This simulates almost exactly what happened. If you look at this side, it's not super strong now, but this is blowing in on this because I don't have it all pulled out. So this was in all the way when it was blowing 40 miles an hour. This was so far over, it was actually in the top hitting this side. So we're going to show you how we stick this out. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you, this side's okay because it's a downwind side. But you know, even in the middle of the night it could switch. But I want to show you how it looks beforehand before we adjust it. I'm going to pull these things a little tighter. I just set it up a second ago. So we'll get this a little snugger and then we'll do the tie out. So I want to show you. And actually, before I show you what I did, I want to show you the pieces and parts I used to do the mods on this. First off, on Amazon I ordered some line tensioners. I'll show you how they work, but you can tension the lines. I ordered those. I have some extra titanium shepherd hook stakes. I got these plastic carabiner, little carabiner plastic clips that I got at REI. They're very small, very light. They look a little bigger than they really are. And lastly, I used 2 kinds of guy lines. When you get these tents, they come with I actually don't know the length, but it's a little bit, if I had to guess, maybe 20, 25 feet of the matching black reflective guy line that comes with the tent. But it wasn't enough to stake out and pull out everything I wanted to do. So I used some of this lime green stuff that I had left over from my Z-Pax tents. So that works great. Make sure that if you do get line tensioners from Amazon or wherever, that you kind of check what kind of gauge line that it can handle, because if the guy line's too fat or too skinny, it will not lock in there. So that's really important. Both my 2 guy lines are 2 different sizes, but they both work in these tensioners. All right, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the entire, just kind of overview, and then I'll show you up close how I did it and how I use those 4 pieces, and then we'll go inside the tent at the end to kind of see how the space on the inside is a little better. But if you remember, this side was really pushed in because of the wind. It's not set up perfect. I'm still learning how to set this thing up. I'm getting better and better every time, but it'll do for now. But anyway, it's pretty windy right now. Probably don't see the tent moving much because it's pretty sturdy, but let's just show you really quick. We'll just go around it one time just to kind of show you how I've staked this off for storm mode or windy conditions. Go around real quick. Okay, so let's start with clips. So I put these little clips on here. They're very small. I'll show you one up close here, right here. I wanted an easy way. I don't want to tie knots in here, and I'm not good at bolo knots and all kinds of sliding knots, so I decided I'm going to do some clip I can take off or on as easy as I want. So that's, we have different colored ones, like that. So let's go over what Durston recommends. So when you do these, this really stabilizes the tent. When you go by the two trekking poles, you can see this is very solid. It looks like it's moving a lot, but it's barely moving a quarter of an inch. But they suggest you run these right over the Durston logo. That helps pull it this way, and then of course you do it on the opposite side. It makes it pulls it taut from the opposing sides, so no matter which way the wind's going. Next, let's go basically what I had to think about, and I'm going to give my shout out to my good friend Dave. He's a retired engineer and gave me some ideas for a couple things I'm going to show you. But the main thing is how to not use so many stakes. So remember, before I did this storm mode, I was only using 6 stakes. I like that fact because I don't, for me everything's about weight, but just less stakes is good. But then I realized it's not going to work well because this is a fairly tall tent for being a one-person tent, and so I decided that, well, how can I stake this out and make it storm mode without less stakes? So one of the ways I figured out was to, basically how they want you to do this is you have a pull out on each side, and you would go to a stake, and then they want you to stake this out too. So I just figured out a way, well, I'll just clip it to here, run it down to the stake, and then to there. So now it's just using one stake to do the same thing. The other thing I did was on both sides, I put a little like 3 or 4 inch loop, because there's going to be days when it's very calm or nights, and I might just want to pull this out and stake it out like this, but not have any of this on there. This gives me the ability to just stake it out, so I can do that. I do that on both sides. So how do these line tensioners work? Let me see if I can show you with my hand, just one hand. So basically, you kind of pull it taut, you stake it out down there, and then basically you just basically kind of loosen this, and you can go down or up, and you just pull it up, and it's harder to do with one hand, but basically it just locks into place, and that's tension. It's a little loose right there because I can only do it with one hand, but yeah, that's how you do it. It's very simple. Depending if you don't have enough room, let's say you don't have the bushes in the way, you can stake it closer and slide the tensioner up further. So that's how it works. I wanted to show you that this is much further out now than when it was bowed in from the wind. It's pretty strong right now. It's hard to tell because the tent's so stable. But you can see it's not, this is the downwind side. It's not even sticking up that much more than the side that's getting the wind. So I think what we'll do next is take you inside and see how it looks from the inside. All right, guys, this feels pretty good to me. I can tell that the wind is blowing this wall in some, but it's not on me. The other night when I had that happen, it's literally another, like this far in on me. And remember, I'm up closer to my head because I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'3". When I sit up, I have room, but I'm closer to up here. But when I'm laying down, I don't know if you can see me yet, but when I'm laying down, let me see if I can get this. But when I lay down, I have much more room here up above me, of course. So my main thing is just the head and the foot part of this tent never comes in or can get you wet, but it's whether the sides will come in on you. What's nice about this, I don't know if you can see this, I've said this before, but with a small narrow tent like this, I like that the walls here, if you see here, are mesh, and then another foot or so, this is being blown in by the wind, but normally when it's taut and there's no wind, that's another foot or so. So the outside of your tent can get wet, but when it's set up correctly, it shouldn't get you wet. What I like here is, I told you I'm a tall guy, and when you're down low where I would normally see it, let me show you. When you get down lower, like where I'm down in the tent, there's my shoulder right here. It's almost 3 feet to that wall. That's how much space you have. This pole, what's neat about this tent is you can put your backpack right here and get it out of because there's not a lot of room in here. You can sit your backpack with the stuff you don't need out here in the vestibule, and it's protected. But what's really great is these walls are really about 2.5, 3 feet away from you if it's set up correctly. So that's the goal and what I'm doing in this video. So I showed you one mod. I'm going to show you another mod. I showed you how Durston in general wants you to set up. I'm going to show one. It's just a thought, and you can try it or not. I'm going to try it. It may or may not work, but it's something my engineer friend Dave told me to do. So I'm going to try it on some of my trips and see what happens. But let me show you that next. So as I said, how you're supposed to set this up per Durston is these are supposed to pull from this side over the logo roughly, and then the same way over there, which I've done, and it's very stable. One of the things though that I have my Z-Packs triplex tent, which is a 3-person tent, which is why I'm trying to go to the smaller tent to save weight and space. I have that as a backup if this doesn't work, but they like the tension. Their DCF tent, if you've ever had one, you tension on the ridge line of the tent, which would be, in this case, this is the ridge line here. So on the Z-Packs, it goes this way. It goes up on the A-frame. You have a pole here, and then you stake down this way, and it goes down this way. So this is the ridge line this way. So you have the trekking pole here. You stake it. So this basically is right here, and you stake it down, and on the ridge line goes, and then you do it on the other side. That creates tension along the ridge line, and then the 4 corners pull everything taut. So my friend Dave's thought was, and it makes sense to me, and I don't know if it's going to be practical and actually work in the field, but is to move this more in line with the ridge line. So we're going to do that real quick. I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. I personally have not used it out in the field yet, so don't hold me to it. It's just a thought and idea that I may try. I'm just trying to get this thing stable in weather so that it will work for me. So let me do that real quick and I'll be right back. All right, guys, so I did that. You can see that's in line. I have it on the other side. I'll show you in a minute. But some immediate observations. When I did this, and remember, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm just giving you ideas. Try it, leave it. You can do it the regular way, whatever, and I may end up just doing it the normal way that Durston suggests. But when I do this, this feels more solid. Now, I don't know. It's much more solid right here. Like, it's not moving at all. I don't know how it affects it sideways, but it seems like it would be more stable. The other thing that happened was I pulled this tighter. These 2 sided ones were loose, so I had to retighten them. And now I feel like, if you can see this tent, the wind's coming hard from here. You can see it's not even going in very much at all. And it was more before when it was staked out the traditional way on the trekking poles. I'd have to adjust this a little bit, but this is out more. But when you look at the overall width or profile of this, I don't think that's the correct term, but it's much wider now. So I don't know if these 2 affected that. I feel like when I could be wrong in this, right? I'm just experimenting with this tent, but I feel like when you're pulling it this way and you're pulling it that way, you're almost twisting it and not making the ridge line. But this is super taut, Look at that. I mean, I can barely even move it, literally. That's how my Z-Packs tent gets when I have it set up correctly and it's very tight. So anyway, that's just, so my 2 mods are basically, you can experiment with this if you want, if you have this tent, whether it's a Sil Nylon or a DCF. And you can have, I basically saved a stake by not having a stake for this one and a stake for that one. I use this one shepherd hook, titanium one for that. When I don't need this and it's a calm night, I'll probably just stake up that one just to pull it out. And heck, I might even just, on a normal basis like I do with my Z-Packs tent, even when it's not windy, I may do these 2 trekking pole guy lines just to make some stability and keep it, in the right shape and steady when I'm sleeping at night, just in case the wind were to come up. I have some kind of, protection from that for a while. I'll have to experiment with this. It doesn't take very long to set this up now that I've pre-cut them all and put them on here. So maybe I'll set it up like that every night just in case, the weather changes in the middle of the night. But all right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. Just some thoughts of mine and what I'm experimenting with. If you have them, do you do something different? What are your thoughts about this? This is what I'm going with. I've got to try to make this work. I've got about a month before I get on the PCT, and I've got to decide if this is the tent for me. All the 1-person tents, by far, it's the best design, and there's more thought put in this than any other tent I've tried. It's just whether, it doesn't matter what things cost, what the name on it is. If it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So let's hope this works. I'm going to be getting on trail soon to try it out, so I'll give you an update once I do that. But thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing. Liking the video really helps with the algorithms, helps my channel grow. And hit the notification bell in the upper right if you'd like to be notified every time I have a video like this come out. And remember, I'm getting on trail in a month. I'll have a daily video on the PCT to continue my series if you want to follow along on my journey to finish this year. And the train's going by, so I'm going to cut it short. We'll see you next time. Bye.